back. Here, Vanderbilt women's basketball head coach Shea Ralph. Coach will just take an opening statement after today's game, and we'll open up the floor for questions.
Yeah, I felt like, there were portions of the game, especially in the first half and a little bit in the third quarter, where we were battling. Our effort was there, and then it wasn't. I felt like we looked a little bit out of sorts on offense. We weren't able to get anything in fast break. The ball wasn't moving as crisply and cleanly as it normally does. So there's some things we have to figure out. I mean, obviously, they're a good team. I don't think either of us played great today. But it's disappointing to not take advantage of not their best game on our home court. At the same time, it's senior night, and I thought there were some bright spots today from some of our guys that are graduating.
All right, go ahead and open up the floor for questions. When I point on you, just mention your name and organization. We'll start here front row.
Elena Morris, Vandy 24/7. You mentioned those seniors. Just how important have those five been to your program over the past couple of years?
Yeah, Save, Leilani, and Juice have just been here for a year. The other three have really made an impact in a positive way on the trajectory of the program and putting us in a place where, we're able to do some of the things that were only part of our vision when we got here. You never want to. It's a loss today, and it stinks because I thought we didn't play well. But it's also an opportunity to honor how far we've come, and to honor those guys that have gotten us here. So we're going to take full advantage of that now after the game, and then we'll get back to work when it's time to get back to work.
Tremaine Dalton from SB Nation. First and foremost, you're an awesome coach.
Thanks.
And this is one of those punch-in-the-face moments, also leading towards the March Madness and everything like that. Do you feel like this is a wake-up call?
I hope so. Yeah, I hope so. I think it needs to be in a lot of ways. This is kind of when you want to be playing your best basketball, so I think that's what's maybe the most concerning about how we played today. But also, we're not that far removed from some of the better games that we played. We just showed a lot of toughness and grit in a road overtime win at Auburn, and I thought, that more looked like the team that I know. So we got to make sure that this last week of the season we get back to who that is, and I think we'll be able to do so quickly.
Shea, Teresa Walker, Associated Press. Part of that, last week, Michaela had, her explosion, 30 points in the final 10-25 to help you win at Auburn. Today, she had 2 points in the fourth quarter. Is part of this as a freshman learning that, she's kind of got a target on her back now, and how to deal when teams are trying to make her work on both ends of the court, and a chance for her to grow her game?
Yeah, definitely. It's always a chance for her to grow her game. So she hasn't been a secret for a long time. But I think there were times today where we were out of sorts. So it didn't even look like, to me, a lot of times on offense that we were connecting, So for her, that's going to be tough as a point guard. We got to make sure that everyone's on the same page, that she's getting the same opportunities that she's gotten in so many of the games before, and she just didn't get those today. She just didn't get them, and the ones that she tried to take were more difficult than they usually are. And you got to credit South Carolina's defense. In that way, they're long and athletic. But I thought she still played hard, and she still did a lot of really good things. We also shouldn't need her to score 50 points for us to win. We're not. We got to be better than that. So she's done it in moments where we've really needed it, but she also has to get a little bit of help. I thought there were times today where Camille did help her, but we've just got to get more contributions from everyone else on the floor.
Gentry Estes from Tennessee, and when you look at what Don has built at South Carolina, what stands out about that program, or what has always stood out about that program to you, and what they've been able to do, and do you feel like the gap is closing a little bit, even the score didn't necessarily show it?
Yeah, I do feel like the gap is closing when we play our best. I mean, in terms of the things that we've accomplished so far this year, and where we're going, I do feel that way. What's impressive about what Dawn has done is that she literally built it from the ground up. It's impressive that she did it while also coaching in the Olympics. That she's been able to create a powerhouse in this day and age, especially as the landscape is changing. And to sustain it is maybe the most impressive thing, because I know, having come from UConn, how hard that is to do. So you see teams that are, have a good couple years and then don't, have a good couple years and then don't. She's, a national championship contender every year. And her kids get better They look like they have fun. They have a really good culture. That's not easy to do in this day and age. So what's impressive about it? All of it. All of it. And then, who she is in terms of the representation as a woman, the things that she did as a player, now as a coach, the way she speaks up for our sport. That in and of itself is very powerful.
Are there lessons you can take for that, and them especially having done it in the SEC the way they have?
Yeah, absolutely. She's been one of the more vocal supporters in terms of like always reaching out to me, especially the first couple of years, to show support and encouragement. But yeah, she's kind of laid out a blueprint. It's inspiring, but I'm still a competitor. I'm inspired by her, but I still want to beat her. And I'd like to do that sooner than later.
I'm Stephanie Coy. I'm also from SB Nation. Earlier this year, or last year, I had the chance to speak to Michaela and Camille separately, and they both spoke so highly of you and the culture you're building, and also the woman you are. And I'd love if you could just sort of speak about that element of being a coach, and outside of the game, how are you trying to lead this group of girls?
Well, that's good to hear. I think, most of the reason that I wanted to coach was because of the way that people had changed my life in terms of my coaches and mentors and guiders. I was a little bit of a shithead. I mean, there's not really another way to say it. When I was younger, I was stubborn and selfish and all the things that get in your way when you're a young kid and you're trying to do something really cool and you're trying to grow into a young woman who can be successful in any arena in life. You got to learn how to sacrifice. You got to learn how to be unselfish. You got to learn how to put people and teams and bigger visions before yourself. And so when I was younger, I had a lot of people do that for me. And I think it's time for me to give back in terms of not only our game, but for the young women that want to play it and have the same goals that I had. I also want to show them that you can do that and still be a wife and a mom and, somebody in the community that's a leader. You can do all the things. You can't always do them at once. And I've learned that myself here, being where my feet are. But to me, it's more important that my players know how much I care about them and love them, how much I want to set them up for success in the future, and how much I'm going to pour into them, whether or not they perform on the basketball court. But if they can learn those things that I learned and they have the talent that they have, then they're going to explode with success in every arena of their life. And that's meaningful in terms of leadership. That's meaningful when you can help guide kids through that and see them to the other side so that when they get to life, real life, because y'all know, man, it's unforgiving that they have a really big toolbox of things they can use because you were able to help them.
Shea, 2 more games left, but so looking a little bit ahead, SEC tournament. I mean, as tough as this season in conference play has been, how tough might it be heading to the tournament this year with teams trying to, looks like you all are in, but is it, can anybody take it for granted at this point?
Never. You can't take anything for granted in this sport, in this conference. You got to go out to win. We need to win. And we need to make sure that we position ourselves to do something really special in March.
Yeah, Shea, obviously the offense kind of struggled outside Michaela and Camille today, and you kind of referenced that earlier. But what needs to happen to get the rest of the team to kind of going again?
I think we just have to move the ball. We have to play with confidence, make sure we take opportunities. We looked a little bit overwhelmed at times today, like not sure what to do next. So I think part of that is just keeping it simple too, simplifying everything that we're doing, making sure the ball changes sides of the floor, getting back to who we really are. You can't overcomplicate it at this point. I think just getting back out on the court and seeing the ball go through the net and making sure that we know exactly where we need to be and what we need to be doing probably will help a lot. Because there were large portions of the game today where I felt like that didn't look like the case. So we just have to make sure that we feel more comfortable and confident going into Thursday.
Obviously, Mylasia Fulwiley had the game today for South Carolina, and you guys held them in check in first half, defensively pretty well. But how tough was it to kind of scout a team like South Carolina, considering they have so many different players who can, do what Fulwiley did today?
Yeah. It was actually not that tough to scout him because Dawn really just sticks to who she is. Like, they don't really change much. So you kind of know what you're going to see. And to the point I just made, they're pretty simple in terms of what they do, but it's super effective. So I felt like we could have a lot of success defensively, but then you have to make sure that you convert that into really good offensive possessions. So we can't get rebounds and then give it right back. We can't get steals and then give it right back. We can't take poor shots and then give them wide open layups and transition threes. That's just not the winning edge ever in basketball, but certainly not against South Carolina. So there were moments where it was like, we're right there, and then we have a couple of like really poor decisions, poor shots, just give the ball back to them, and then, they open it up by 8 or 10 more.
Brandon Bixby, go ahead.
Coach, I know you talked about wanting to be playing your best basketball this time of year and the last couple of games not going the way you guys would have hoped to, but what do you feel like your team can kind of take from these past 2 games and getting yourselves where you can grow and getting to that point to where you're playing at that level?
Well, specifically just this game, I would say even at our worst, I mean, we were still there for a large portion of the first half into the second half, the third quarter. We were right there, and we did not play well. And neither did they, but we got to take full advantage of that. We were right there having played one of our, I would say probably one of our worst games of the year in terms of who we are and what we aspire to be. So all that being said, we still had an opportunity to be in a position to win the game. And so you kind of have to look at it that way, and then we have to say, what was our issue? What got in our way? Let's confront that. Let's get rid of it. Let's fix it, whatever, and let's move on.
Last question right here.
We're in a very unique time in women's basketball where guards are getting these explosive numbers. South Carolina is one of the few teams that play both sides of the floor. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like that is what caught your players by surprise?
I don't think we were caught by surprise. I mean, I don't know that I would say that we were caught by surprise. I think they just took advantage of our mistakes. And that wasn't surprising, but it was disappointing because you can't make mistakes like that against really good teams. The things that we did, I mean, they were self-inflicted. Just, not a lot of offensive flow, turnovers, rebounding, not moving the ball crisply enough, not making free throws, not scoring 1 point in transition. That sucks. Like that, you just can't do that against good teams and think you're going to win the game. So it wasn't surprising, but it was disappointing that we weren't able to capitalize more on the positive things we did so we could put ourselves in position to win.
Because away from Elijah's points, she was rebounding a lot and able to push the ball up ahead, not giving the opportunity for your bigs to get back.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there were a lot of cases of that, just rebounding and running, turnover. Just even in the open court, getting picked for a layup. That can't happen at this level. You got to be better than that, So to me, it was just that's a lack of focus, and we just have to be a little bit more disciplined. And again, I'm going to keep saying it, but it's true. We got to get back to who we are,
All right, Coach, appreciate it.
All right, thank you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.